All right, episode 8. This is going to be a little bit different. We're not going to talk for very long, even though Jeff just showed me a video of, I've never wanted to do it. Like, I wanted to do it to maybe a death row inmate. But this guy, I guess he had the opportunity to shoot a deer with a 50 cal rifle.
Bare 50 cal, yeah.
I mean, like, granted, it was a compact version.
Yeah.
But the bullet's the same, right?
Yeah. 82.
Yeah, and when you saw the video, you thought that, he just smoked this deer. But when he played it back slower, because he said he had done a headshot. But he held the head, and, there was some blood coming out of the mouth and the eyes.
Yeah, he, sucked the eyes out of the deer.
But
snapped its neck.
And you would think like a 700 grain bullet would have just been gone. It'd been like it would have been like a cartoon character just popped off.
No meat left.
When he played back the video, what you thought was the fur and like the back exploding was actually the tree behind it.
Yeah.
And the bullet flew past the deer, and I guess because when he picked the deer up, like its neck had gotten twisted. And it looked like its eyes had gotten sucked in through the skull.
Yeah.
Just from that shockwave of that bullet.
You played it in slow motion, and you could see, the deer, just drop immediately. It didn't move.
No, yeah.
And, it looked like fur flying up at first.
It looks like it got punched almost. Yeah.
It was like somebody dropped it with one hit punch, and then, but, behind it, you saw, brown stuff coming up. But what it was, he played in slow mo, and all you see is bark coming up. He hit the tree.
Behind it, yeah.
But he completely missed the deer, and it still destroyed him. And he missed it by a good foot.
I mean, yeah, I was pretty confused when I've seen gun videos on YouTube where a 50 cal will go through all this armor or cinder blocks, and I'm thinking, but this deer made out with some blood.
Yeah,
okay,
no, I don't think so.
Did you do anything cool today?
I went to work.
Okay, well, I went to court, and I'm only talking about this because in the military, you're held accountable.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We need to find this guy, by the way.
Yeah, this guy ran into my farm fence. Just say he hit the first 20 feet, spun out in the field, missed about 20 feet, and then hit the next 20 feet. All I know is when we talked to him about a month ago, he said, well, I can fix the 20 feet I hit. I'm thinking, but that middle section now has been compromised. You can't
just add back to
all that tightness and strength is gone. So I, went to court. He wasn't there, and I talked to the sheriffs. Apparently, they can't find him. He might be in a different county. And I'm thinking, if you bumped into somebody in the military, you at least had the decency to say, "Hey, I messed up.
My bad."
Don't even have to give your information because they go to your first line. You're like, "Hey, Billy hit my car." Okay, Billy, call either USAA or Navy, federal.
Sit there and hold your hand.
That's it. You know? So that is another thing that I do miss about the military. I didn't like being held accountable, but I know it was good for me.
Yeah, definitely.
So after we're done talking, it's not going to be for very long. You're going to hear from my buddy Reynolds, Erik Reynolds. He's now a preacher, but he was an intel analyst with me in Germany. So I really hope y'all enjoy that video. But before we go,
we gotta do the plugs. 2
podcasts that you need to hear about. The Meaningless Drivers podcast. Follow them at Twitter. Follow them on Twitter at Useless Driver. Supposedly, if the executive producer tonight doesn't just screw the pooch, we should have another. Possible. Yeah, we should have an interview with a professional driver / lieutenant in the Navy Reserve who went to the Naval Academy. So I'll be asking him questions about that.
That's pretty cool.
And the other one is the Smark Wrestling Podcast, SMARK. I haven't been hearing much about from Brian, but I know at my sister's house with her husband, he's a diehard wrestling fan. So that's all he talks about. And everybody's got their own thing they like to do. So, but yeah, other than that, that's all I got.
Yeah, you can do that.
The what?
So, NHL playoffs is coming, so everybody stop saving, especially Preds fans.
I didn't think about that.
Do somewhat well this year. Please, God, let us do well.
So we have to
not shave.
It's a good thing that I interviewed the preacher then.
Yeah.
He's got God on our side now.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, he needs to pray for us.
So no shaving. No shaving. Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Till they're out. Anyways. Yeah. Well, I don't know about all that. You take care of that. I don't see that. So.
All right. No manscaping either. You heard it.
My wife will be happy about that one.
I bet she will.
Yeah.
All right. So you good?
Yeah.
All right.
Definitely.
Y'all enjoy the interview. Bye. And all right, buddy. I know we've been talking for like the last 20 minutes and we got none of that on tape, which is fine.
And pretty much like everything that we've said in the last 20 minutes is probably the best part of any conversation we're going to have today. So I actually kind of feel bad for anyone who thinks they're going to watch this or listen to this and be like, oh, something maybe funny will come out of it.
But it's the people that knew us. They probably know some of the stories already.
Oh, yeah. Well, they might if they should.
They should. If they got out of the barracks at least once, they probably did some of the things that we did.
I mean, if they ran in the same crew that we ran in, they probably know the good stories.
And I think for the most part, as long as you were in Bravo company, you probably hung out with those people. You know what I mean?
At least occasionally. Like that was the cool thing, right? So those are your viewers, right? So I'm just taking over your show, I guess. But
all 8.
All 8 people who are listening to this. You and I were in the same company in Germany.
Yes, we were.
For probably about 18 months. Or 2 years maybe. Yeah, 2 years. Because I don't remember if I got to the unit on Rear D before or after you. It was about the same time, I think.
I got to Germany April of 2007.
I think that's about the time that I got there.
Okay.
April or May.
And you left when?
August?
Of
whatever year that was. 07? Was it? Yeah, 07?
When did you leave the unit?
Oh, yeah. I thought you meant for Afghanistan.
A deployment? No.
2009. So, wait. Yeah, 2009, like February 2009, I think.
Okay, because, see, I re-enlisted downrange, so I didn't leave until about April 2011.
Mm-hmm.
So that means you did not deploy the second time with us.
I wasn't on that second deployment.
Yeah, see.
Which was like...
I forgot about that.
Which, looking back, I kind of wish that I had been, because there was a lot of stuff that... Well, it sounds like I did, but I stayed in contact with a lot of you guys, and
yeah.
I think we were deployed at the same time. I was just in Iraq with a different unit, so I had the 35th Signal Brigade, which was So if you're listening to this, don't go into the Signal Corps.
Okay.
One, I was intel, but I got stuck with a Signal unit to end my career, and then if you're not Signal, then definitely don't go to a Signal unit.
Because they'll treat you differently?
It's boring.
Oh, it's boring.
Yeah. You don't get to do any of the cool HUA Army cool guy stuff that we got to. I mean, not that we got to do a whole lot in the 173rd, but like remember like when we got back from the deployment, and I don't know what life was like before we deployed because we were only there for 3 or 4 months and the whole unit was gone. But like after the deployment, it was pretty cool. Like we'd have those sergeant time training. Well, not the STTs, but also like they would have all these different rotational drills that you would go through, like obstacle courses or different I forget what it was called. You were a part. Yes, you were.
I probably did 2.
It was pretty fun.
Maybe 2. Because I was doing Sims, UAV guy. Remember that?
Boy, I'm a real pilot. Not really. So that was cool. Didn't do any of that stuff with my unit.
The Signal Corps, yeah.
So it was boring as an intel guy. So I guess I'm learning from that.
Okay. Well, I really wanted to make this episode about you and kind of learn more about you, because other than what I knew the Reynolds in the military, for even 2 years, but just the fact that when you're in the military, the people that you're around, like you are just so saturated with those people that unless you're just a barracks rat or you choose to avoid people, even in the morning during PT, you are forced to be with those people. You know what I mean?
Well, especially in like a foreign country,
exactly.
We're in Germany, like you have no choice but to be friends with the guys that you work with.
Right.
So, like you and I were in different platoons, but we hung out.
Oh yeah, easily
all the time.
And I don't know how we started. You know what I mean?
Maybe it was on Rear D, but I don't ever remember like hanging out all that much on Rear D.
Okay, I can barely remember going to maybe news room to play video games, and I don't know if I had already known you then. You know what I mean? Like I don't know what struck the friendship, like what started it.
I think because we had a very interesting group of friends that hung out. So like in each of us had like we brought our own dynamic. So like for those who don't know, like so Johnson, do people know you on this podcast as like Greg or Johnson? I don't know.
I think I've said my name, but he's talking about me.
Yeah. So like you were kind of the and don't take this the wrong way, like the mother hen of the group. Like
Ooh.
But that's like in a positive way. Like,
hey, maybe, yeah.
Maybe
I was the
plan. Should listen to this.
I tried to be. Yeah, I was.
Well, but like, if someone got too drunk, or if we found ourselves in a precarious situation, you were always the one to. Am I allowed to use words like precarious on here?
I mean, like, I try to keep it to 3 syllables or less, just because I don't know who's listening. But
precarious. What's that?
There we go.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right.
Now, precarious.
That's how you say it down here.
Yeah.
So whenever we found ourselves in a sticky situation for our Marine friends, you were kind of the one that helped get us out of that. Like you never got too drunk. You never.
I really tried not to. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was really important to have guys like you in the unit and you were also a little bit older too. So like. I think you.
How old are you, Reynolds? How old are you?
31.
How old am I?
You are like 33.
I'm 32.
32. But like you went to college, for a semester.
Thank you. Okay. And I quit. Yeah. I just didn't go. Like,
dude, that's more than the kid that just graduated high school.
That's
more than the kid that just graduated high school and thinks he was.
Yeah.
So like the interesting thing is when you're privates. You like if you're a private and you're 18, 19 years old, you're looking at that 20, 21, 22-year-old as like a grown man.
I get it. Like even though you've been in the military the same time, you probably assume that they at least had more more time in the real world kind of thing,
like your most recent video, you were reading some poems from Schmitty. And
that was intense.
Man, like that was really good. And like you were talking a little bit about Schmidt and that story, man, about the Cheeto bag.
It was amazing.
I lost it. But like it's so true. And I only got to know him for a little bit because he came after our deployment.
Right.
And I left before the next deployment. So but the little bit that I knew of him,
he was a good man, dude.
We hung out a bit.
Yeah.
Like, not a ton, but a bit. He was 35, I think, at that age.
He was older. Yeah. He was a preacher.
Yeah. And really, and I tell people and I came to faith, for those who are listening to the podcast, I'm a pastor now. Mm-hmm. And I tell people that I came to faith like at basic training. Like I didn't grow up in a church or
really?
Christian home. Yeah. So like my exposure was like to guys like you, to guys like him.
Yeah.
And it was kind of cool, man. Cause I just wasn't exposed to Christians before the army.
I got you.
So, but yeah, Schmidt was just a wealth of knowledge, and you get that.
He was, yeah. I was gonna say, like me, I wasn't raised in the church, but like every possible Sunday that just say if the weather was cooperating or if everybody was feeling well, we would try to go to church, but then basic training, I went to the little Sunday service one time, and I mean there were probably like 500 people in this auditorium, and basically all the seats in the front are taken. So I sit in the back with people who are, just basically, just BSing, and there's the chaplain up there. I can barely hear him because everybody's talking, and I went there because I wanted, to at least kind of maintain, going to church. And also it got out of cleaning on Sundays in basic. But then every Sunday after that, I just stayed to clean and then I would do my own personal thing. You know what I mean? Like for church. So two different experiences. So
Yeah,
whatever.
it's kind of cool. So, but we didn't come on here to talk about church. I don't think
I mean, it's fine.
we can though. It's your podcast.
No, it's I was gonna say one of the questions that I sent you earlier was, did you have any family members that were in the military and that influenced you to join, or was it more of like a spur of the moment kind of thing, or a service to country?
Yeah, so when I kind of grew up, kind of like my son, you and I were talking about my 7-year-old.
Yeah.
And, he has this idea that he wants to grow up and join the military.
Well, yeah.
And all that. And I kind of had that from an early age. Like I heard of stories about like my grandfather, he fought in World War II. I didn't hear any stories about what he did. I just heard
Right.
My uncle and my dad both served together in the Navy.
Okay.
And so I kind of had that, and I was in JROTC in high school, but I just had this. Yeah, so I kind of had this idealistic view too. Like I was an idealist. So I kind of thought, like, man, I watched. Have you ever seen the movie Patton?
I have.
Yeah, man.
Great
so
movie,
like that opening scene, like that first 10 minutes, and I mean, anybody who's listening to this, if they have not seen Patton, they have to stop what they're doing, pause this.
It's a good one.
And watch that first 10 minutes. It will blow your mind. But there was a time where I forget the exact quote, but he said, pretty much you guys who are serving in my unit are lucky. The reason you're lucky is that when you're 85 years old and you're sitting your grandkid on your lap and you're bouncing up and down and he asks you, what did you do during the Great World War II? You don't have to say that you were shoveling shit in Louisiana.
That's true. No, yeah. I hear you. Yeah.
And I kind of had that mentality like, dude, like, who am I to not join when there's a war going on, 2 wars going on? So I had that sense of obligation. And I just joined the Army because I wanted to jump out of airplanes. And I wanted to be intel because I thought I was going to be Jason Bourne. Like Jason Bourne movies were.
Hey, man, you were this close.
Well, what I tell people now, because everybody always asks, like, oh, so what did you do? I say, well, hey, do you know Jason Bourne? Like the movie?
You know that movie? Yeah.
And I go, so did you ever see these guys on computers in the background in the Jason Bourne movies? Yeah. I was that guy.
Yeah.
That's and people just get super disappointed, but I try not to not disappoint.
That's amazing.
So when I went into the Marine Corps, because I thought I wanted to be a Marine.
Really?
Yeah, I thought about that, and then I realized I didn't like eating crayons. But I asked, they're just not as delicious.
Bad aftertaste, yeah.
So I went in there and I said, hey, what does it take for me to go airborne? And they said, because also at that time, like
in the Marines, you mean?
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah.
Because also at that time, Band of Brothers had come out like a couple of years before that. Watched all that. I'm like,
I watched that in AIT for like 10 days straight. That's all we did in the day room.
And it was so disappointing going to airborne school and not yelling Curry like every 2 seconds.
Yeah, it's true.
I feel like I should get my money back, but
it was so cold,
especially going in February.
And we couldn't wear any cold weather gear.
Oh man,
it was awful. I mean,
so anyway, what was I saying? I forget.
You're talking about curry and eating spaghetti till you throw up.
Oh my goodness, I gotta rewatch that.
It's good.
So yeah, when I was talking to the Marine recruiter, I said, "Well, you be airborne," and he said, "Well, you have to go into like our special operations units." And things. I said, "Okay, well, I'm not so sure I'm hooah enough."
Or hoorah enough. Yeah.
Whatever you would say. And then I said, "Okay, all right. Maybe I can live without being that cool."
Right.
However,
comma
space. Yeah. Right? That's a militarism.
Yeah.
I want to go intel as well. So what do I got to do to be intel? And they said, well, when you go to basic training, you kind of have your pick of 3 jobs that you might get, and then we choose. I said, that don't sound good.
No.
And then he said, and we don't have intelligence analysts or anything like that until E5.
Oh,
and I said, and I remember I asked him, well, like, hey, how long does it take to make rank in the Marine Corps, and they said, well, about as fast as glaciers move. So I thought, man, we have to put like 15 years in before I can even do my design. So I went to the Army. The Navy wasn't a choice. I didn't want to go on ships.
Okay, yeah.
So I wasn't heartbroken about the Marine Corps either.
Real quick, did you listen to that podcast with that Navy girl?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like, I had no idea what they did on their deployments. No, thank you. I don't want any of that.
She was talking when she said that they had pulled into port, and then they weren't allowed off the boat or to see their family. I thought that is the most Army thing I've ever heard coming out of a Navy person. Like, talk about. And then all my family have paid tickets to come get come get me and drive me back. And she was stationed at Fort Gordon, I think she said.
Yep.
I was stationed at Fort Gordon as well.
Oh, nice.
That's the signal unit. So
yeah.
I wonder if it was around the same time period, but that's a story for another time.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, when she said that, I'm like, dude, that is the most Army thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, the Air Force wasn't really an option. I didn't count that really as a military branch. Yeah, I just.
What about the fifth one?
The Coasties?
Yeah.
I get a buddy that joined recently, and I call them the Coasters now.
Oh, nice.
But he has a sense of humor like us. It doesn't bother us.
Yeah.
I was really hoping it would, but
I still don't know anybody in the Coast Guard. You know what I mean?
I know 2 people so far. No, 3. Actually, 3. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see. I was going to ask you. Okay, yeah. You said you told us why the Army, because you didn't want to be on a ship, and the Marines, obviously, it's going to take 15 years to even do your job, kind of thing. The Air Force, looking back, I can remember my mom telling me, you can do anything you like. I mean, this is when I was like 14 or 15. She's like, you can do anything you want to in the world, just don't join the military. But if you do, join the Air Force. And I didn't. So
you are the most disobedient son.
They were super proud of me. I didn't go to school, chose the wrong branch, got married twice without telling them. So all that kind of stuff.
I only know about the one time.
Another podcast.
Oh my goodness.
So
and I saw that you are no longer married, and I really felt bad about it. Yeah.
That was December 2015. So let's check the.
I guess feeling bad about that is kind of over, right?
Well, for you feeling bad, I would assume you had gotten over it. You know what I mean? Especially since it wasn't your divorce.
Yeah,
but
no, of course. No, I mean, it's been a few years now.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
So,
I'm with you.
Yeah. Anyway, that's probably a conversation from up there.
Okay. I was gonna say, what was basic training what you thought it was gonna be? Based on your recruiter.
No. And
where'd you go first? Where'd you go?
Fort Leonard Wood. And it was, and the awful thing about Fort Leonard Wood is I got there in August, didn't start till September, and the temperature dropped like that. So you know how you get used to a certain temperature? I mean, you were at Fort Huachuca, so it happened at Fort Huachuca as well, where it could be 100. And seriously, when we showed up, it was 100 degrees every single day. I'm from Massachusetts, man. It gets hot, but hot for us is 93 degrees, not 105. So
right.
It goes from 100 degrees, and all of a sudden it's 60 degrees a week later, and you're out there just shivering, man. And, you're dying. And the same thing happened at Huachuca, in Arizona. It was awful. But the thing that actually basic training itself wasn't bad. I'd love to go back now if I were in better shape and and just know what I could have gotten away with. Know how to get by, if I knew what I knew then, So, but I was in reception, which is for those who might not be familiar. You go to reception battalion first before going to your actual basic training company.
It's week 0 kind of thing.
Yeah, week 0 lasted for almost 30 days.
That's crazy,
dude. I was so ticked off. I called my recruiter. I'm like, dude, you gotta get out of here, man. This is ridiculous.
Was it just you or a bunch of people?
Bunch of people, because they were trying to front load all the National Guard, the Nasty G's, and the stinking reserves, because they had to get back for school and all this, all that crap. And I was so mad because I'm like, dude, I'm here for like 3-4 weeks,
Right.
and you're literally doing nothing but cleaning and laying in your rack. That's it.
Are you working out?
Nope.
Oh wow.
You're doing nothing. And it was awful because you're just doing nothing.
Right.
But it did give me time. Like I read, so like, you know, those little Gideon Bibles they give you at basic training? They're tiny. It's just a New Testament. I read the entire thing during that 3 weeks. Nice. And it really was probably like the groundwork of God in my life.
Yeah. I hear you.
But that doesn't mean that it was an enjoyable 3 or 4 weeks. Like it was awful.
That's true. Yeah. Wow. Okay. I've heard of that happening in AIT because obviously the National Guard pays to go to AIT. So I guess it makes sense that they should get more of a priority. But I mean, I didn't think basic was like that.
Oh my goodness, it was awful. Where did you go to basic?
Fort Sill.
Oh my goodness.
Of course.
There aren't many. I mean, really, you could say about every basic training place.
I mean, Fort Leonard Wood, I heard was, I would not have enjoyed it. One, because was it co-ed when you went through?
It was.
Okay, see, Fort Sill, it wasn't co-ed when I was there. Maybe like 2 or 3 cycles later, that's when it was co-ed.
Yeah, and that's probably another conversation for another time.
Because the first girl I married, she went to Fort Leonard Wood, and they talked about like how they would sneak off at night. And I thought, like, one, we were scared out of our minds to even get out of bed at night.
Yeah.
Because one, I didn't want the freaking fire guard ratting me out, and two, like I was just exhausted from the day to even do anything.
Just want to sleep, man.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Like I did, like half the time I did not even feel like just say using my 30 minutes of personal time to write a letter. Or, like I was like I just want to put I'm fine. Send something that won't get me in trouble. I love you. Bye. That's it. That's all I want. Okay, let's see. Like after AIT, I first got assigned to Fort Wainwright, Alaska for like a week. And then I got like just say a second letter saying, that had been changed and I was going to get sent to Germany. Yeah.
Sorry, that was a big mistake. Talk about one extreme to the other.
Yeah, like the fact that you'll be fighting possibly Nazis compared to werewolves. You know what I mean? Like it's just 2 different animals right there. Okay, so Germany, you were there for 2 years.
Everybody in Germany Nazis?
I said I could have possibly fought Nazis, and if you listen to one of the previous podcasts, remember me and Kenny, we went bar hopping, or not bar hopping, like we were looking for the closest little pub to the gate, to gate 3, and. We are talking to these guys. Turns out they were freaking, white supremacists who were buying us drinks, and
Which podcast was this? I don't remember hearing this one.
They were trying to recruit us. I'm like, Kenny, we have to get out of here right now.
Was? Oh my goodness.
Okay. So when you weren't deployed, how was Germany for people who haven't been there?
It was amazing. Like there's not like there are definitely some things you got to get used to, right? So probably one of the most difficult things is trying to talk to your. Why are you pointing to your armpit?
Body odor. Some Europeans like on the buses, if they're like holding the rail on the bus.
I was gonna get more like oh yeah, like it's hard to contact people back home because you're on different time zones.
It is, yeah.
And there's no like good way to make a phone call back, like because this was really before Skype, I think.
It was right when Skype was kind of happening, like
yeah. So like really, you only have one place that you could get your phone and your internet, which was TKS, and this happened to everybody I've talked to. Is like when you go to PCS out, they charge you like an extra $250.
It's awful. Yeah.
That they put that on my credit report because I didn't pay it.
Yep. Mine too.
Yep. I was anyway. That's a whole nother thing, right? That's why military have such bad credit. It's because these people take advantage of you in the midst of you PCSing and anyway.
And the military star card. Some people abuse that thing.
Don't get us started. Hey, don't get it. You should do a podcast of like advice to privates and get like 4 COs. I tell people like in church and all this other stuff, I tell them some stories about soldiers I had that I just shake my head. Yeah. But yeah, man. So like things like that, like you kind of miss the, how do you get TV? Simple like accommodations like that. But I'm kind of glad it was difficult because it kind of made you have stronger bonds with the guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we wouldn't sit around and just watch TV all day. Like we'd go out and explore, or we'd sit and food, or we'd play what was it, Call of Duty together?
Like the first one almost. Like the first Modern Warfare.
Yeah, Modern Warfare 2, I think.
Yeah.
It was Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And you'd have great stories from that. But like, yeah, Germany is just a completely different culture. Like you said, not everybody showers every day. It's actually quite abnormal for people to shower every day. Again, not using deodorant, things like that. It smells differently.
All natural, man.
Walk outside the gate and see billboards with naked women on there.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of weird. Like, why am I seeing these exposed boobs as I'm walking out of the gate? Like, their sense of modesty is completely different than our sense of modesty.
Right.
Where you go to the beach and people are naked.
It's different. It's
like, what do you do with that?
I just walk away because I'm not, exposing myself. Like, I'm not that confident.
That's how you could tell who an American was on the beach.
Yeah. European just walks up like, how you doing?
Yeah. Like, I'm just not comfortable with this situation going on right now.
I hear you.
And, I realized how prudish we probably are as Americans. And I wouldn't, we're soldiers, right? Like, we're not prudish people by nature.
Right. To an extent.
Right. Yeah. Like, we do have a certain level of boundaries, and that's our boundary right there.
Like you said, it's the, it is the culture. I mean, it's just, a different, I can remember, walking out of gate 3 to go run for PT, and there's like this German mom in like basically just say like maybe a windbreaker, and here I am, like it's like 20 degrees, and then her child's in this stroller wearing basically nothing. And I'm thinking that is borderline child abuse here, but I guess, that's how they get their kids strong for the winter, I guess. I mean, it's just what they live in. It's just.
Yeah. Hans and Franz got to adapt. Cold.
I mean, but okay, I was happy that Germany wasn't that big of a difference culturally, because we could still interact with the younger, generation for the most part.
And one of the cool things, because we were talking before you started recording, we would go out quite a bit to different bars and restaurants and things like that.
All kinds of places, yeah.
And you could tell the difference between Americans and Germans because Germans held their alcohol much better. And not that they had a wooden leg, so to speak, but that they weren't jerks. They weren't looking for a fight all the time. Like
that's true.
The two groups of people that were looking for fights when you went out were the Turks and the Americans.
I heard horror stories about the Turks always. That was
Yeah, and they
were not fans of us.
No, not at all. But that was kind of it. And then you also had Americans try to start fights with other Americans because you got these little paratroopers running around thinking that we're the king of the hill.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. That
Silver Wing Killer of Men. I'm like, you are an S2. You play on a computer all day.
It's like we walked out of the gate thinking that our Maroon Beret followed us and that it gave us superpowers.
No, that was the PT belt.
Oh, yeah.
See, I always kept mine in my pocket just in case.
Just in case, like in Power Rangers, you just had to put it on or press it. And
I really wish I could remember why we started hanging out, because after that point, I mean, it seemed like either I was in your room playing video games, or just say going to a club or going out to eat, or just say it was at least us two with the same 10
2 or 3
people.
guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it was just.
I mean, I think the 3 inseparables for a while were like you, me, and Fen.
Yeah.
And then because I was tight with New from my our deployment, because I was separated from the company. I was with the battalion level staff.
Yeah. Man,
So
who
I
was
kind
that
of had
little. Okay, who was the skinny white guy who was dating the German girl? Do you remember him? Like,
grew up.
kind of hung. There you go. Yeah.
He was in S6
Yeah.
or one of the supplies. So
Yeah.
and it was fun, man. Like, and everybody just kind of was chill, and no one was a jerk to one another.
Right.
But I mean, I remember we'd go to kind of the same bars or same restaurants all the time, but we'd also I remember, man, a handful of times saying whether it was Friday afternoon or maybe Saturday morning, we'd go, hey, so what are we going to do today? And we kind of batted around. And I always remember saying, listen, we might have a good night staying here in Bamberg, but we know we're going to have a good night going to Nuremberg.
And see, and looking back, I really don't know why, because Bamberg was a college town. There were so many things to do in Bamberg. But Nuremberg, it had the club, which
the one
everybody went to. Yeah. Literally the one.
Yeah. WON, World of Nightlife.
And there was the hip hop section, and then the techno section.
No. You have to tell people. Do you remember what they called the hip hop club?
Probably the Black Club.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember the first time we went there, we're
man,
dude, this is so racist. This is so weird. That in our American mind,
they were just categorizing it. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah. It was funny, man. But so many fun nights going out there. But I think the difference was you're going to the bigger city, you're an hour away.
That's true,
by train. So
Train
there was
awesome.
this. The train was a trip, man.
I mean, I loved riding the train. It just made sense, I did not want to take a car to another city in case I was going to have a drink, just.
Well, the interesting thing about for me, I don't know how you felt, but once we got to the Bahnhof, which is the train station,
and you
got on that train, you would feel I'm saying that for your.
I know.
They don't know the Deutsch,
right? For my 8 viewers, yeah.
But they it was kind of almost entering this whole different place, a different world, right? That's how I felt.
Yeah.
I felt it was a different world than anywhere else.
Right.
And I don't know, maybe that's why it was different going to Nuremberg or somewhere else. Because we tried a couple of different cities that were on the way to Nuremberg or
dude, if you got on the wrong train and it stopped at every little podunk stop, just say a 40-minute train ride could take you an hour and a half.
And that's happened. I remember there were a couple of times on Saturdays, we go out to Nuremberg Friday night.
Right.
Hit the first train Saturday morning, and then by the time we're rolling into Bamberg, all these kids are on the train going to school because they went to school on Saturday. we're dead tired.
Dead
We've been up for 24 hours because we had PT the day before.
Yeah, it's awful.
I don't know how we did that, man. That was insane.
I mean, okay, I'm not saying this happened a lot, but I can remember staying out every now and then during the week, a little too late, and maybe drinking too many beverages. And I don't mean getting just blackout drunk. I mean drinking too many beverages for having to wake up at 6 that next morning and go run 5 miles. It's our bodies were just different back then. You know what I mean?
Well, it comes with age, part of it, and you're in a different type of shape, right? You're in better shape.
That's true. Yeah.
And a different mentality. At that, you said in one of the podcasts with your Marine buddy there, dude, you're popping 3 800 milligrams.
Oh yeah, easily. Yeah.
And
that would almost kill me now.
I had a Monster the other day, and I thought I was gonna die. Yeah. Coming from a guy who drinks 5 cups of coffee a day, so
I like my coffee. Yeah.
But yeah, Germany was a trip, man. Germany was a trip.
Looking back, are you glad you went in, or do you think that you could have learned some stuff just going through life and going through those stages as a civilian?
So I I guess I probably have like mixed feelings. Like I really enjoyed my time. I enjoyed. I loved the Army for 8 years. Well, I loved it for as long as I was in, but I really loved it for about 5 or 6.
You love the people or like
just
the
the
structure?
organization, everything.
Yeah,
everything. And I'm a very structured person by person. Like that's my personality.
Right.
And I was like that even before I joined. So I adapted really well to Army life.
Yeah.
But, one of the things I miss most, and I think this is one of the things that I kind of like almost regret or something that stuck with me from the military, is that you're never closer, I don't think, or at least I haven't been, than with people I was with in the Army.
Oh, no,
for that little segments, for like that, for that year or two that we knew each other, and spending literally 24/7 with one, aside from sleeping. And there were times that we slept in the same room.
It happens.
When in Germany,
it was cold, man. I mean, body heat.
But for the most part, like you get really close with people and that sticks with you for that time. It's almost like a time capsule, and like you can remember things.
It's like a bubble. Yeah.
And now it's just different because like you can go, like I could go to you after work, or you could come to me, and like we could complain about our bosses, complain about the work, complain about the Army, complain about anything. Because we know exactly what we're going through.
Right. And because like also if you're single, everybody lives in that same building. You know what I mean? Yeah. So like, it's not like I have to hop in my car, drive 10 minutes across town. Like I can literally walk barefoot 3 doors down and, there is Reynolds or there's Finn or there's New. I mean, it's okay. I can see how when people stay in for 20 years, they'll get out and still think, they are 20 or 21 because, for the most part, the Army is easy. You know what I mean? Like the
Army is the easiest job in the world.
I mean, it's, like every day you wake up. No, yeah.
Difficulty, and that's when family comes into play. Like when it's difficult when you have a family because you're away from your family a lot, and that's natural. Like you want to be with your family. God's designed the family for the dad and mom to be there as a nuclear family. So that's really difficult. And of course, but when you're single, it's super easy, and the job itself is super easy. Yeah, because they tell you what to do every step of the way.
And like maybe only after a few years, then you'll have that opportunity to tell others what to do. But even then, you got told by somebody to tell somebody what to do.
Yep. Yeah. And if you ever have a question, you ask the guy above you.
That's it. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, man. The easiest job in the world.
Yeah, I mean, because I've already told a few buddies, and a couple of them haven't joined because one, they were single, they were in college, but they weren't really liking it. And I told them, just to do their research and, really, if they got nothing going on, to at least finish out that semester and then, either come talk to me, or talk to a recruiter because, I mean, I don't know about other recruiters. Mine didn't lie to me. He said that it would be a hard job, but it'd be easy, just like any other job, really. I mean, BS every now and then, but it's easy.
Yeah.
So. You've talked for 38 minutes.
I'm used to talking that much. I'm a pastor. So
I hear you. Well, I mean, do you have anything you want to end on? As in, I mean, would you recommend the military, at least for a single guy who doesn't have anything going on?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely. And I think no matter your situation, if you can get in and you're married, you don't have kids, then
kids are a big thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, even if you're married and don't have kids and don't plan on having kids immediately, and your spouse is on board, then that can be a very positive step because the experience that you're going to have just getting to know people from all across the world, not just like, I'm pretty sure we served with someone in Bravo Company that was an illegal immigrant. Like they were in America. Yeah, I remember having a conversation because they were trying to get their paperwork together, and they're like,
"Were they in my platoon?"
No. We'll talk later. But
okay.
But I remember. But they were awesome, right? Like I'm not passing judgment whatsoever.
Right.
But like, you just get to meet people, or you go to other countries, and even when you go to Iraq or Afghanistan, you get to meet people from that country and from other countries.
Yep.
It just exposes you to a whole wealth of other ideas.
And it forces that exposure. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I met so many people from not people like you, but people from Tennessee or like the country. Yeah.
The country of Tennessee?
I don't know. Like, no, You know what I mean? Like some people who've never been exposed to non-white people. Like,
oh no, yeah.
That's not you, but I'm just using like I met plenty of people who never met a non-white person before through the military until they got to the military, and they were like, man, and they weren't. I wouldn't say they weren't racist. Like they didn't have a racist bone in them. They just didn't.
They were just uninformed. I mean,
it was ignorance. It wasn't hate. It was ignorance.
Right.
And that's a difference. But like I wouldn't have been exposed to like I met someone at basic training. True story, man. I met someone at basic training, and you know how it is. Like you sit there, you're asking where people are from, and this guy's like, "Oh, I'm from Florida," and I said, "No, you're not." And he said, "Yeah,
I
I'm
remember
from
times
Florida."
like that. Yeah.
He said, "I said, no, man. Only old people live in Florida."
Yeah.
And he said, "No, they don't." And I didn't realize, like, I legit seriously thought that only, I mean, I'm 19 years
right.
old.
I hear you.
Because from Massachusetts, that's where everybody went for the wintertime or to retire.
Right.
We never met anybody who was under 68 that was from Florida until then. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
I'll say, okay, so are you called a pastor or a preacher? Because there are preachers in Tennessee.
Well, you're entitled to be wrong. I'm just kidding. People typically call me pastor. I just go by Erik.
Okay.
That's the first name.
Well, do you have anything, do you have like anything online that you do that you want to share with like the 8 people?
So with the 8 people listening, yeah. Well, I mean, I host my own podcast that's part of my church denomination. It's called the Renewed Church Podcast. You can be found on iTunes. You can probably Google it as well.
Just Google it. You'll find it.
And I do some writing on there as well. It's a website called AdventChristianVoices.com.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, that's pretty much where I do most of my writing.
That's awesome.
And podcasting.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. And apparently having dogs run around while you're recording, but it'll be all right.
See, we're a little bit more professional on my podcast. You don't have that on my podcast, but
I just have books to make me look smart.
And racist donkeys in the background.
I put those racist donkeys up.
Yeah, well,
none are out right now, so we're good.
So yeah, man. I just want you to know, like, I really do appreciate the podcast that you've been doing and I know you probably don't realize it, but at least for guys like me.
Yeah.
Like it helps me remember because I forget easily.
I like talking about it. Yeah, I know.
And it just kind of gives like that level of nostalgia, and just it's kind of when you do the other stuff, like puts a smile on my face. So thank you.
I appreciate that. And I try to smile while I do it, so it'd be all right. Well, it's only been a few concussions, so we're good.
A few, that's it. Listen, man, Greg Johnson, I don't remember ever seeing Greg Johnson without a smile when we were together. No.
I'm a smiler, so we're good.
Yeah. So ago when you were talking about airborne school.
Which one? Oh,
there were 2 of them.
Well, you mean with my parents?
There was that one. There was the other one when we were up in the aircraft for the first time. And I looked at you. We're about to jump out of an airplane. And I looked at you and was like, the doors hadn't opened yet.
Yeah.
We've been in the air for like 5 or 10 minutes. But it's getting like all windy. And like the nerves are starting, you're starting to shake. Like even the bravest of us are like, what the heck am I doing?
Yeah.
And I looked at you and I mouthed, what the
I mean, like
expletive.
It made no sense to jump out of an airplane that was not like crashing. Like there was nothing wrong with the airplane.
Yeah. It was
just flying around, just doing its thing.
But there was that story when you really put me put me on the spot with your parents there.
Now,
I don't even remember how I responded. Like I shared the story with my wife, and
you really did. You really didn't respond. Like you didn't know what to do. But okay, this would have been so like early 20 or 2009. So like February, January kind of time frame.
So it was. We went to airborne school, and this is how I remember when we went. Like what date?
Okay.
President Obama, his first inauguration was while we were at airborne school.
I had no idea.
I remember watching it in the day room, like on maybe the one day I think we had one day off the whole time. And it was that one day.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. Okay. Well, for people who don't know, we can always, end on this. Back like in 2008, 2009, mom jokes were a thing. Like, I mean, it was like, like everybody had a mom that you could poke fun of. Like, that's just like, and especially in the military, 99% of the time, people knew that, that it was all just for fun. It was just a joke.
It was always your mom this, your mom that.
Yeah. Well, okay, according to that fictional mom, like Erik, Reynolds, like, I mean, he had been intimate with her, he had taken her on dates and,
this was a very unfortunate time in my life.
Bought her chocolate, he's like all kinds of stuff he had done with my fictional mom. Well, my parents show up to airborne school and, obviously, Reynolds is right there next to me, and I introduced him to my parents, and I said something along the lines of like, hey mom, hey daddy, this is Reynolds. This is the guy who's been sleeping with you. And I remember my dad just kind of looked confused. But I mean, like, okay, my dad looks like Shrek. Like he has a belly, but I mean, he is just a big guy. Yeah. And here's Reynolds, maybe like, I mean, Reynolds is tall. He's like 6 foot, 6'1".
6'3", but at that time, 210.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I'm 250 now. You know, so
my dad was like 6'1", maybe like 350. So I mean, he was like a lineman just walking up. And when I said that, I just looked at Reynolds like he just didn't know how to even come at it. Like he's like, hi. Like,
but I mean, you had a knack for putting people on the spot like that anyway.
I still do. Like I like to make people feel uncomfortable, but kind of like in a playful way. I never want to just invoke hate or be mean to anybody. Kind of like the girl. Go ahead.
You wouldn't have said that if you thought my dad's gonna punch Reynolds in the face.
Oh no, yeah, never.
Or like this is going to be genuinely offensive to my mother or my father.
True.
You said it because you knew they could take a joke, and you knew that you just wanted to make me uncomfortable, and you knew me well enough that I certainly wasn't gonna punch you in the face.
I am the way I am because of them. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
they get it. But kind of like I asked the girl at the restaurant what the 5 branches were, and she said, judicial and the Constitution.
I don't believe that. I don't believe that actually
happened. It happened.
I do not believe that.
Well, I mean, like, I almost felt like, when I would watch Jay Leno and he would ask basically the dumbest people, on the road, like all these simple questions, and they had no idea. That's how I felt. I'm thinking, where is Ashton? I'm being punked, or back in the day,
I forgot about that show.
Yeah, man.
Punk. Yeah, dude. I can't. You need pictures, or it didn't happen.
Pictures, or it didn't happen. Well, if you check out my Facebook, we have pictures of younger Reynolds. Nothing incriminating, but he was a football fan. Soccer here, but good times, man. It was fun.
Oh man, yeah.
And now, just look at us. I'm attempting to grow a beard. You have this luscious Viking beard.
This is not a beard, man. This is stubble. This is a 5 o'clock shadow.
Then you've overflowing with testosterone right now.
Yeah. Well, I've got to get going.
Okay, man. I appreciate everything that you've said, and I hope that you and your family are doing well. So
we are, man. Considering we're both below the Mason-Dixon line now, maybe we can get together sometime. Because the South is pretty much all right next to each other, right?
All the states are next to each other. That's kind of how it works. This is called dead air right now. What y'all experienced?
Well, in radio, they say you're not supposed to have any dead air. Like,
no,
like 3 seconds and you are like that is failure.
Yep.
So,
And I don't think we did that. So if
we didn't have 3 seconds?
oh no, not at all.
That was at least 5.
That was at least 3.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. If your wifey's telling you to go, I'll let you go. And
Well, yeah, we got to talk more soon though.
yeah, man, I'm all for it.
Cool, man.
Bye.